high-stakes job has gotten more tense in recent weeks as law enforcement have been targeted in deadly shootings. We've seen one in Oakland and another in Santa Cruz County. Joining me now for some insight is former local police sergeant Michael Sugrue, who advocates for first responders who are seeking mental health help while also tracking suicide rates. Hello, Michael.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good. So there are many reasons for law enforcement to head out the door, wondering if they will come home. It's the nature of the job, of course, and now rising anti-government sentiment that is targeting them. So how could this be impacting their mental health?
Well, the job itself, it takes an absolute toll. And we see things, hear things, we're exposed to things over years and years that just absolutely take a toll. A lot of negativity, a lot of stressful situations, constant adrenaline rushes, going from call to call to call to call. Currently, right now, there is an increased danger to all law enforcement. As we've seen in the media, we've seen in the news, all over social media, there's a lot of movement against police officers and against cops. And like you said, we've seen in recent weeks actually officers being targeted by certain individuals or certain groups. As police officers, when we're on the job, we're always at a constant threat level. We're always looking around, we're always aware of our surroundings, we're always on high alert. Especially now with what's going on, we can never lower that alert. We're always checking behind us, in front of us. We have to be careful going to work, going home, not just on the job. There is a constant threat to law enforcement, both on duty and off duty. And unfortunately, that threat has been elevated, which has increased the anxiety and the stress that our law enforcement officers already face on a daily basis.
Mental health is important for everyone, and the public really relies on law enforcement to have it together when armed and faced with split-second decisions. But is there a stigma for asking for help, and how can that be addressed?
There absolutely is a stigma in law enforcement. We have to be the protectors. We have to be the brave ones. We have to go into the most dangerous situations that you can imagine. And we have to bring calm, bring order, and bring control. Even knowing that our lives are in danger, knowing that we may be killed, but we can't show that emotion. We can't show that we're scared. It's considered a weakness. And in some aspects, that's necessary for the job when we're operational. You need to have that. But what happens is once we leave these calls and we leave these traumatic incidents, we need to take the time to stop and address how they're affecting them. We can't do that for every single call, but the more critical incidents or the larger incidents, the ones that truly take a toll, when it's safe to do so and things have calmed down, we need to, as a group, among peers and supervisors, we need to discuss what exactly we went through, to talk about it, talk about our feelings, our emotions, talk about the fact that, we almost died or thought we were going to die. And for so long as law enforcement officers, we just bottle up these feelings and emotions, and they just keep stacking up until it just overflows. And so what we have to do is to change the culture and make it acceptable to talk about our feelings, to talk about how things affect us, and to make it normal as opposed to making it abnormal. My case, I waited far too long to ask for help. And I truly believe that if you address these issues as they're happening, you can work a long, successful career.
It's not just being shot at like the ambush in Santa Cruz County, but BlueHelp.org lists 70 officers reported to have committed suicide this year, increasing every year actually since 2016. So do you think that that will continue to go up as law enforcement is targeted and the distrust among communities continue?
Unfortunately, I think they are going to go up. I hate to say that, but the numbers have risen. Part of that is to better reporting. The group that you mentioned, Blue Help, has been instrumental to actually getting more accurate numbers for these law enforcement suicides. For far too long, these numbers just went unreported or underreported. Last year alone, we had 228 suicides, which more than doubled the line of duty deaths. And the fact is that as law enforcement officers, we're much more likely to die at our own hands than at the hands of another. And when you think about that, it's absolutely shocking. And so, unfortunately, given the intense stress that officers are under right now, the lack of support is a big one. And when I say lack of support, I mean from organizations, from the community, sometimes from politicians. That increases these feelings of being alone, of being helpless, increases the anxiety, and it makes you not want to ask for help. And so I think we need to help change that as well. We need to give support to our officers, know that there's resources available. There's many, many resources, whether it be through the city, EAP programs, through the agency itself, or for volunteer programs such that I volunteer for myself, the West Coast Post Trauma Retreat. There's hotlines, national hotlines that are staffed by law enforcement officers only. And so I encourage anybody watching this, any family members of first responders, any law enforcement officers, know that there is help out there and all you have to do is ask for it.
And I'm looking at this video of a really visual display of the distrust that has been stemming from proven cases of police resorting to deadly force when it could have been avoided, and historically cases of corruption and cover-ups. What do you think it's going to take to make sure that that culture is overhauled to restore any faith that when a person calls 911, they will be coming in and acting with integrity and honesty?
Well, I think we need to break down the walls and we need to break down the barriers from law enforcement agencies and the communities we serve. I know here in Northern California, many agencies have done an outstanding job at this. But the issue is that the public does not understand much of what we face. They don't understand our perceptions, the threats that we perceive. And so I think it's really important to help educate them on different scenarios that we do face on a constant basis. Let them see it from our vantage point and from our perspective. But on the flip side of that as well, we as law enforcement officers, we need to see it from the perspective of the citizens, from the people that we're pulling over, that we're stopping on the street, calls that we're going to. The majority of our contacts are calls that were sent to by 911 dispatchers. Citizens call in, they report a crime or suspicious circumstance, and we go to it. We don't have a choice. We have to go to those calls. When we go to those calls, we need to take care of the threat, investigate the crime. But oftentimes, when things have slowed down, if the scene's safe, we can take a few extra minutes on the back end and help educate and explain what we're doing and why we're doing it. Because a lot of times, as law enforcement officers, we don't have the time to actually sit there and explain why we're doing everything that we're doing. And in order to do that, we obviously have to have a receptive audience on the other side. But I think the key really here is education on both sides, increasing awareness, and help bridging that gap as to what we do.
And then going back to that integrity of the good officers that may be out there, there's also fear of retaliation from the department and even getting fired. What will you tell incoming officers who want to do the right thing, they want to speak up against any wrongdoing, but are worried that they're going to lose their job?
Well, I can tell you that the culture here in Northern California, they do not accept or tolerate any wrongdoing. And if you see it, it needs to be reported immediately to a superior officer. It is not going to end your career. It's actually going to save your career, and it's probably going to save your life. You know, it is a job, it is a profession, it is a calling. The facts are that 99% of all police officers are good, and they do the right things for the right reasons. As in any other profession, there are bad apples. And unfortunately, in our profession, we have a special public trust. And when one of us breaks the law, doesn't follow procedure, does things wrong, well, that brings a lot of attention and the whole world sees it. But what's important to know here is that, like I said, 99% are good. A very, very small percentage are bad. And they will not be tolerated in today's culture in law enforcement, not in California and not in any other states.
You're watching Chronon, the Bay Area streaming news 24/7.